Former head coach Jimmy Johnson and the 90s triplets reunited for the 25th anniversary of their first Super Bowl as a group. The biggest surprise of the party was that Jerry and Johnson were pretty friendly. This comes as a surprise since the two have been at odds since 1994 when Jerry decided to move on from Johnson after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. Max, is this kind of rekindled relationship a sign that Jerry's starting to get it?
I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes here. And I'm a Giants fan, which means a notorious Cowboys hater. That's right. Boy, I hate the Cowboys. And yet, and by the way, it's been a lot of fun as a Giants fan watching this narcissist in his old age kind of devolve to the place where, you know, at first he was very good at manipulating the rules, going back 2 decades plus. And then the league caught up and he hasn't been good at much of anything as a GM. But in the autumn of his years, Stephen A., and by autumn, I mean like December 20th, like winter is coming, like Game of Thrones with this guy. I mean, he's getting up there in age, and I think what a narcissist sees their reflection in everything. And when he looks at that handsome devil looking back at him, I think he would like a dignified old age, a dignified final act, where he could actually enjoy winning again. And I think we're seeing that in the reconciliation with Jimmy Johnson to the extent that it's a reconciliation and the ceding of power to his son, which has resulted in an excellent team. I think, yes, in the autumn of his years, he's getting it.
You know, this is funny. This is absolutely hilarious. Let me get this straight. So because they hooked up together and had some nice dinner, shaking hands, being complimentary with one another, probably hugging and singing Kumbaya to one another, Jerry Jones gets it? Oh, just stop it. That's not what happened here. You know what happened here? The Cowboys actually looked respectable this year. That's what happened. They looked respectable without Jimmy Johnson. That's what happened here. Because he's been gone and he isn't around to take any credit, and you can't help but give Jerry Jones some credit, he doesn't mind being seen in the same vicinity as Jimmy Johnson, because Jimmy Johnson's on Fox on Sundays. Jimmy Johnson's on Fox on Sundays. Jerry Jones is not. So because Jerry Jones is not, and Jimmy Johnson ain't there to take credit, to lead off of it, because we got to remember the last time Jerry Jones was relevant was when they was winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. And even though they won that last Super Bowl.
Harry Switzer, that was Jimmy Johnson's team.
That was Jimmy Johnson's team. That was Jimmy Johnson's personnel, and Jerry Jones still wasn't getting credit. But 22 years later, even though you haven't won, even though you haven't won a Super Bowl,
didn't win a playoff game this year.
Well, listen, they didn't win a playoff game this year.
Yeah,
but you went 13-3. You are on the come up.
Of course they are.
You look respectable, and as a result, we're talking about the youth on the Cowboys. So Jimmy Johnson is not a threat to me anymore. I can now be
very interesting take.
That's what this is.
That is. I agree with you, Molly. That's a very interesting take. A strong take out of you, Stephen A. Smith.
Usually is.
But when
Actually, go ahead.
But when you say what happened was, it didn't just happen. It wasn't happenstance. It was his son, Stephen Jones, taking control, picking offensive linemen. I think it was in the first round 4 out of 5 seasons. Very difficult it must have been for Jerry Jones to do that with all like the sexy skills position. Yeah, and he keeps taking Zach Martin, one offensive lineman after another in the first round. It didn't just happen. It wasn't a passive arrangement. It was an active change in the organization. That in itself shows maturity on the part of a very old man, by the way, but okay, we all mature at different rates. And the fact that he can now, even if the embrace of Jimmy Johnson here is a result of the success of the team having nothing to do with Jimmy Johnson, it still has to do with Jerry Jones ceding power. And that is maturity. That's what led to this moment. They still haven't won a playoff game.
Maturity? Jerry Jones.
Yes.
Really? You know, I remember when I was watching Saturday Night Live and Alec Baldwin was talking about, oh, come on, I'm just trying to be cool. Back then, I was a shy, impetuous 59-year-old man. All right, you understand what I'm saying? I'm not paraphrasing there, but that's basically what he was saying. So Jerry Jones, who's, 73, 74 years old, he's matured.
Emotionally,
he's a late bloomer.
That's what we're saying, he's matured? Really? That's your argument? Stop it. The fact is, Jimmy Johnson's been gone long enough where he can no longer steal credit from Jerry. And as a result, Jerry is okay being around him. But if you saw Jimmy Johnson and you thought about him and Jerry Jones together, you would inevitably find yourself giving Jimmy Johnson credit instead of Jerry Jones. And that's what Jerry Jones did.
You're looking at it in a vacuum. Look at it in the context of a larger situation of what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys.
Now,
Jerry Jones
brought that
was
up.
always the GM. He's the GM in name. He's not really the GM
but that's
anymore.
Not him. The point is that ultimately somebody like Max is going to look at Stephen Jones. When you think about the Dallas Cowboys in this day and age, you don't. You do.
It left me thinking, how many rings would they have?
You thought of Jimmy Johnson in a long time.
But you think of Jerry Jones. You weren't thinking about Jerry Jones before you were thinking about Jimmy Johnson. You're not thinking about Stephen Jones now. You think about Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. You think about Jerry Jones. That's what you think about now.
I lost track of the Joneses somewhere.
That's right.
If they stayed together, how many rings would they have had?
I mean, look, the fact is they underachieved. Barry Switzer, it's not that he's a bad coach or anything. He's a really interesting guy. But you would never have guessed just one more at that time. You'd have guessed at least 2 or 3.
I'd say one more. Here's why. Because Deion still would have beat you that year. Barry Switzer was there. He would have beat the Jimmy Johnson team. When Primetime went to San Fran, they would have still beat Dallas. Now, you would have won again if Prime had come to Dallas. But if Prime had stayed in San Francisco...
Jimmy Johnson, what makes you think he doesn't?
Well, I'm just saying, that's my point. That would have happened. But if Jimmy Johnson stays in Dallas, but Primetime never comes... You still might have had 3 and 4, but you ain't going to have a whole bunch.
Right. Deion was the balance of power more than anyone back then.
No question. Stephen A's final take. We'll look at the historic night for ESPN at the Oscars, but the night ended with controversy.
The Academy Award for Best Picture.
Come on. La La Land.
There's a mistake.
Let's get it cracking. Let's start the session. March lift the competition, balls by that action. You can never debate it. This is actual fact. Stephen A. and Max Scale said they say it's a rap. I'm like, say what? Say what? What's up with all my haters? I'm a ball when I perform. So my jersey's in the air. I'm allergic to my haters. Every morning I prepare. Lot of clothes I can wear just like them Oregon players. Yeah, quack, quack. What it do? Rap like it's nothing to it. Matter of fact, you can ask hard and I'm cooking too. Base guard cooking too. Nah, look at you. Break mine. They embrace mine like a crooked tooth. 4 takes. That's you. 3 takes. Not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take. Stop me. 4 takes. That's you. 3 takes. Not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take. That me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another week of First Take. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. The boys are in the house. Stephen A., Max Kellerman. How it sound, fellas?
Oh, yeah, we're doing this. Look at that. I gave you one of these.
Beautiful weekend. I'm still moving, but it's a beautiful week.
All right.
Beautiful week.
Big night last night for ESPN.
Speaking of which, yes, huge congratulations to Ezra Edelman, Connor Schell, and their teams for winning ESPN's first Academy Award last night. OJ Made in America has won the Oscar for Best Documentary Feature.
No one feels so good about that.
Fellas.
As much as the Academy Awards gets it wrong, it's one thing to be celebrating the victory, and it deserved it.
No question.
So, OJ Made in America is so good. If you have not seen it, watch it. The only thing is you're going to lose sleep for like 2 nights.
Yeah.
But listen, I've watched it. Listen,
I've watched it multiple times.
It's 5 episodes. I've seen it 3 times.
Right.
I've seen it 3 times.
Right.
It's that good.
You can't stop watching it.
It's that good.
Yeah, it's The Wire, only it's a documentary. It's like that kind of TV.
Exactly. You know what else is big time? LeBron James, and he has winning on his mind, and it appears the Cavs are getting him some help to make that come to fruition. Darren Williams has cleared waivers and informed Cleveland he'll sign with the team for the rest of the season for the veterans minimum. That's $900,000, according to our Brian Windhorst. Plus, soon-to-be free agent Andrew Bogut is expected to sign with the Cavs as well after his buyout with the 76ers is complete. That, according to our Tim McMahon. Now, we know Bogut is very familiar with the team they're trying to beat, having played with the Warriors for 4 years. Will these additions to the Cavs, does that allow the Warriors to still be the favorites, or have the Cavs taken over, Max?
The Warriors are still the favorites. And you know what the proof in the pudding is, Stephen A.? The proof in the pudding is boring trade deadline. Nothing really happened at the trade deadline. None of the major moves. The Celtics hung on to their assets. All these teams with assets that could move. Blake Griffin going to go somewhere. Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy Butler. No, no, no. Because the teams with the assets to make those things happen, they're looking at the Warriors and going, for what? We're going to push our chips into the middle of the table to maybe upset the Cavs in the East just to get smacked in the finals by the Warriors? we'll pass. The time isn't right. That's the proof in the pudding that shows you that the Warriors are still favorites. Now, does that mean the Cavs can't win? That doesn't mean the Cavs can't win.
Don't hedge.
Darren Williams is a tremendous pickup for them because it cost them nothing. They didn't have to give up any resources to bring on still a great pick-and-roll point guard, which is what you need in the NBA, especially that team, to spell Kyrie and LeBron, who's the primary ball handler often on that team. Yes, the Cavs can still win because LeBron James has shown he's Muhammad Ali against George Foreman. He can upset the apple cart. He can win in a miracle kind of comeback kind of way. But that's what it would take once again to beat the Warriors, who are prohibitive favorites. And again, the proof in the pudding is it was a frozen trade deadline. None of the teams made major moves because they didn't want to push their chips in just to lose in the finals.
The Warriors are no longer the prohibitive favorites. It's just that simple. That doesn't mean they can't win. They're not the prohibitive favorites. And here's why. Not only is LeBron James the reigning defending NBA champion, not only is he, according to you, the greatest player in the world and myself, but especially you, because you never fail to say that. Okay, he's your league MVP every day, all day, every day of the week.
What happened when he didn't play?
Listen, all I'm saying to you is that you said that. So you say that about LeBron James. You recognize that about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Plus, you were at that Game 7. You saw what happened. And you got to take into account styles of play and how Cleveland was able to impose their will. Because, again, how many times have I said it, Molly? How many times have I said it, Max? It's about styles at times. And if you can engage the Golden State Warriors in a physical confrontation and you get some of those calls and you're able to dictate pace, then that puts you at an advantage. Here's the other thing that gets it a bit tricky. Not only do you have LeBron, not only do you have Kyrie, not only do you now have a backup in Darren Williams, who actually is better than some starters if he just cared enough to be that way, because the talent is there. But by acquiring, because the rumors has it that they're going to acquire Andrew Bogut. Well, who's Andrew Bogut? He's a 7-foot guy who I used to call Andrew Bogus until a couple of years ago.